car. A lot of this isn't going to make sense to you, and I'm sorry about that. I'm just going to start at the beginning, with the house.
めっちゃぬるおっそいでござる。バツか。あ、違う。おっそ。
I lived here until I was 11, but I wasn't allowed inside half the rooms.
違う。どうやってやるんだ？なんか
Inside the mailbox were bills from 7 years ago, marked urgent, open immediately. I hadn't been back since my brother Lewis's funeral.
どこに書いてあるんだ？
In her will, my mother left me a key, but didn't tell me what it unlocked. Maybe she thought I'd know. Or she thought that the mystery would be enough to bring me back.
Migi, 左どっち？右か左か。道。右？右か左か。右で。走れへんのかこれ。おー、気持ち悪い。今、フィンチ家の
No one had driven this way in a long time, but I saw a few hoof prints. The truth is, even after I inherited the house, I never thought I'd come back to it. But now I had questions about my family that only the house knew the answers to. The house was exactly like I remembered it, the way I'd been dreaming about it.
リアルやな。はいよ。 暗いだっけ。配信画面暗くね。そんなことはない。
As a child, the house made me uncomfortable in a way I couldn't put into words. Now, as a 17-year-old, I knew exactly what those words were. I was afraid of the house.
形が不思議やもんね。落ちますやん。同じチラシが。
I hoped the key might unlock the front door. It didn't. Looking in, I felt like the house itself had been waiting for me.
What should I do now? I still don't know.
Crawling through the doggy door used to be a lot easier when I was 11.
そんな
The power had been turned off the night we left. For the first time in years, I felt like I was home. But instead of a family, there were just memories of one. Like how only one restaurant would deliver to our house, so we had Chinese a lot. Or how after Louis started working at the cannery, we all got sick of eating salmon. Except our cat, Molly.
缶詰だらけ。ありすぎちゃうか。
The table was still a wreck from the night we left. My mom was the only one of us who could imagine Great-Grandma Edie living in a nursing home. It was like a bomb had gone off, killing everyone but sparing the furniture. Nothing in the house looked abnormal. There was just too much of it, like a smile with too many teeth.
部屋が多すぎる家。
Even the fireplace had a story. Edie told me the bricks came from the original house, after it sank.
吸い込まれてた。わあ、2箇所もあるよ。一旦探索。閉め方。Oh.
Edie told me once that every Finch who ever lived is buried somewhere in the library. A lot of things got left behind in the whirlwind of that last night. My mom wasn't much of an optimist, but she never stopped believing that my brother Milton was alive. Great-Grandpa Sven built a music box for Barbara, along with the rest of the house. Mom always told me to stay out of the basement, so I wasn't too surprised when the key didn't fit.
Wow. 写真だらけ。
After Milton disappeared, Mom sealed up all the bedrooms. Then Edie retaliated and drilled peepholes. I spent a lot of time playing in Great Uncle Walter's room. I think my mom sometimes regretted not sealing it up.
立体的みたいな、リアルだな、なんか。
Lewis told me there were secret passages, but I never believed him.
違う？あったろ。
Turns out, my mom was really good at keeping secrets. Now it was time to find out what my mom had been afraid of.
Oh my god. わあ。見たいところいっぱいあるんだけどまだ。この部屋に入れますよ、あれな、あれか。
Molly always seemed like a girl I could imagine being friends with, if she hadn't died in 1947.
早々とお亡くなりになられてる？10年。 10年。
Whenever people ask me about my family, the first thing they always want to know about is Barbara.
バーバラの話。あれ水じゃない上。
Edie's father Odin built the original house.
20違う16。
Barbara was a child star for 2 years, until America grew out of it.
怖くねあれなんか。怖くね。閉めちゃってるのは。おお。こんなんあったらおもろそう。おもろそう。オシャンティ。部屋が多いんじゃん。2名いらっしゃる。
The last time I was in Edith Sr.'s room, I was 10 and she was painting my portrait. My Grandpa Sam spent 7 years sharing a room with his dead brother, Calvin.
仕切ってある。半分で過ごした。
As a kid, I just assumed every house had peepholes and sealed rooms you weren't allowed inside of.
お風呂とトイレ。行きますか。17歳
From
で
the
は撮
paintings
る
on the
の。
wall, it was clear my brother Milton had been here before me. Reading this, maybe it sounds like I had a plan.
狭くね。
But I had no idea what was behind that door. Just like I had no idea where all this was gonna lead.
しまった。
I grew up looking at Molly's room through the peephole. Molly's gerbil had a tiny bedroom with its own even tinier gerbil cage. Being inside for the first time, I felt like I'd stepped behind a painting. I got the sense Edie had spent a lot of time here, before my mom sealed the doors.
December 13th, 1947. Dear Diary, I'll be gone soon, but I wanted to tell somebody about what's gonna happen. It started when Mom sent me to bed without dinner. I woke up and I was starving, so I looked around for something to eat. The gerbil food was dry, but I didn't mind it. My Halloween candy was all gone.
なぜご飯を食べさせずに寝かしてしまった？
I thought about eating Christopher, but I held back.
ああ、そうだね。我慢しようか。怖すぎる。雪降ってる。雪降ってる？違うか。暗い。
I kept eating and eating.
それは歯磨き粉ではないか？
I ate a lot of things that night.
食べてね。
Then I heard chirping outside my window. It was a barn swallow going back to her nest. I reached out for her. And suddenly, I was a cat.
猫だ。猫だね。どうやって飛ぶの？あ、こうね。
I tried to be quiet, but the bird was really scared. Mom and Dad didn't even look at me.
ママ。あ、いるやん。ほんまにママ。ほんまにママパパですか？これ向こうかね。怖い怖い怖い。
I jumped and I almost got her. I could tell she was getting really tired. Now I was up in the big tree. I promised Dad I wouldn't climb it anymore. All I cared about was eating that mama bird. I gobbled her up. And suddenly, I was an owl. First, all I heard was the wind. Then I heard little teeth nibbling in the grass. Rabbits. I imagined his face looking up and seeing mine through my talons. I swallowed him up, and I didn't chew one bit. Then I flew off to find something bigger. A mama rabbit. was almost too big to carry. I started choking, but I couldn't stop eating.
死んじゃ
And suddenly, I was a shark.
う。いい。わーい。痛い。よいしょ。血だらけになるやん、これ。
I rolled
Oh
off
my-
a cliff and into the ocean. Now, I was hungrier than ever.
難しい。
I wanted fat, juicy seals. I tore off her flipper, and it tasted really good.
どいた。そうだ。ちょっと視界が悪いぞ。視界が悪すぎる。どうだ。わからん。むずい。
Grabbed on tight. But I was so hungry, I jumped out of the water. When I opened my eyes, everything had changed.
何これわかんない。うわーない。
Now I was a monster, and I smelled people everywhere. I was big, but I moved real quiet. I wanted to stop, but also I didn't.
Belly with a rusty razor, belly with a rusty razor, belly with a rusty razor.
あお難しすぎ。
Drunken sailor was the drunken sailor.
After the last passenger, I was still hungry. And to cross the water, I saw something new. Something I had to have, so I swam towards it. I slithered onto the sand, and the good smell went into an old pipe. I got closer and closer.
これは森。
All of my stomach started growling. And suddenly, I was me again. I held my breath for a long time, but I couldn't hear anything. I think it's waiting for me to fall asleep. But it's not going to wait much longer. It needs to feed, and we both know I will be delicious.
I'm not sure if I believed all of that, but I'm sure Edie would have.
食べられた。
I can't describe it, but I felt like some part of Molly was still here.
どうやって戻るの？どうやって出んの？うわー、こんなとこから戻ろうとしてんの？バカじゃないの？
This will be obvious later, but my mom never told me any of these stories. Edie would have, but Mom didn't like bringing up the past. Though, when we adopted a stray kitten, she was the one who named it Molly. I spent a lot of time in Great-Grandma Edie's room.
Oh. 飼ってたペットの写真が置いてるとね。しかもそれぞれの小屋も残しとる。読めへん。君名前ない。おる？ちょっと見づらいですね。ロブ？ちょっと読めないです。ちょっと読めないですね。ちょっと多すぎてもういいです。
Edie gave a big interview about a mole man living under the Finch house. My mom was furious. Louis died a week before we left, but Edie had already started to memorialize him. Her room was like a museum. When Edie told people Sven was killed by a dragon, she could also have said he was building a dragon-shaped slide that collapsed. She could have, but she didn't. I hadn't thought of myself as Edith Jr. for a long, long time. One summer, they evacuated the island, but Edie refused to go. For a few weeks, she was a celebrity. Even in her 90s, sometimes Edie seemed a lot younger than my mother. The only trace Grandpa Sam's first wife Kay left on the house was the pink bathroom. It was a pretty big trace.
Oh, すっげえ。何これ。そんな式すげえ。けどおばあちゃんにはきついのでは。
There's a secret in this bathroom. It's in the last place you would look. It isn't in the cupboard. It's hidden in this book.
Oh. ばあちゃんの話読んでねえばあちゃん。戻ってくれ。ばあちゃん読んでへんからちょっとお待ちになって。次の話行くの早すぎる。
For 500 years, the Finches have been famous throughout Norway for their fortune and misfortune. Odin Finch buries the latest victims of the family curse, his wife Ingeborg and their newborn son, Johan. On January 7th, 1937, he set sail with his family and his house, hoping to leave the curse behind. But 40-foot waves off the coast of Washington send the house and Odin to the bottom of the sea. Odin's daughter Edie, with husband Sven and baby Molly, step ashore on their new home, Orcas Island. Odin Finch is the first to be buried in the new family cemetery. His daughter Edie is already dreaming of a new Finch house.
What?
Whatever's wrong with this family, it goes back a long ways. Edie knit me a new pair of gloves every year, just in time to replace the old ones.
モリーはだいぶ、じゃあいつだいぶ年上だったって話か。
Sven gave Sam an old camera he'd refurbished. He never put it down.
狭すぎて近い全部。
I knew Grandpa Sam had a twin.
途中まで。え
And that he never talked about him. I guess my grandpa didn't like history any more than my mom did.
How I Want to Remember My Brother by Sam Finch. The thing I remember is that when he made up his mind, that was it. My brother said he'd die before he ate another mushroom, and he did. At Barbara's funeral, we'd never be afraid again, and he wasn't.
下手くそ。大概下手くそ。ちょっと待って。ブランコ、大変だな。
I think Calvin always wanted to fly.
右左って足出てくる。
But that day,
だんだん分かっ
he
てきたなこ
finally
れ。
made up his mind
両
to
方
do
の
it.
コントローラースティックを同時に動かすのは大変なんだけど。怖い。なんか。無理無理無理無理無理無理無理無理。高すぎん。
I told him going around was impossible.
めっちゃ怖いよ。
Maybe if I hadn't said that.
めっちゃ怖くてちょっともう見てられないんだけど。飛んでいきそう。
Maybe if the wind hadn't picked up. Then maybe he'd still be here. But I
ちょっ
doubt
と
it.
ママ止め
I
て。
think he'd already made up his mind.
ママ止めて。お母さん。あーもう無理、見てられん。きつい、苦しい。あー無理。怖い怖い怖い怖い怖い怖い怖い怖い怖い怖い怖い怖い。あ、終わる。無理。ごめんなさい。 あんまやめたい。心臓が悪い。心臓に悪い。心臓に悪い。
That's what I want to remember about my brother.
心臓に悪い。無理無理無理無理無理無理無理無理無理無理。あ、すごいことになってる。
The day he made up his mind to fly, and he did.
心臓痛い。心臓痛い。
Calvin's story felt strangely familiar. When I was younger, I remember trying to do the exact same thing.
しんどすぎ君。
After the funeral, Edie roped off Calvin's half of the room. Mom said Grandpa Sam enlisted at 18 and never set foot in the room again.
しんどすぎる。ギミックが多すぎる。
The passages were a pretty tight fit. They'd obviously been built for smaller hands and bellies.
出れる。けどこっち行こうか。あー、怖いやつ。
Growing up, I always thought of Barbara as a child star.
めっちゃこれ怖かったんやけど、覗いたとき。はい、戻らなくてよいよ。ノンノンノンノンノン。ゲームしんどいかもしれん。
I never thought about how hard it must have been for her afterwards.
Happy birthday, Barbara. めっちゃ刺さったよパート。バーバラ大人になった。
Of all the stories people wrote about Barbara's death, I'm surprised Edie saved this one.
Old Jack here with another ghastly tale inspired by America's most unfortunate family. I'm calling it The Surprise Ending of Barbara Finch. As a child star, Barbara was famous for her scream. Now at 16, she was all washed up. A has-been. But in a lucky break, she'd been asked to perform her signature scream at a local convention for monster movie fans. It was just the boost her career needed. Unfortunately, her scream hadn't aged well.
Getting better. I think you just need the right motivation.
Her biggest fan and current boyfriend, Rick, was about to demonstrate when...
Now that was a great scream.
It was Barbara's father, Sven. He'd slipped into a table saw and had to be rushed to the emergency room. So Barbara got stuck babysitting her youngest brother, Walter. Her convention comeback was cancelled.
Okay, I'm hearing frustration, but I'm not hearing terror. What if I tried...
A gang of hoodlums in Halloween masks have been terrorizing Orcas Island tonight. Police are urging residents to...
That came from the basement.
You're right! Also, I loved your delivery on that. Why is your basement door locked?
Because my dad likes making puzzles in secret passages.
Why?
There's a key hidden in the music box. The secret is to keep winding and winding until finally the key pops out.
Thanks, babe.
それは知らなんだ。
I'll be back in a sec.
20 minutes later, Rick hadn't returned. So Barbara went to look for him, right on cue. She reached for the music box. And as she wound the key, she listened for Rick, but the house was silent.
Ah, もう無理無理無理無理無理。首が長すぎ。これなんか何？待って。それさ、その音楽さ。その音楽さ。
She found Rick's crutch and imagined the worst.
あれやん。それあれやん。怖すぎるやろ。武器だって武器が与えられた。よし、ここや。
The gang's leader is the infamous Hookman killer, Dr. Carl Hamill, who impaled and then ate his family 10 years ago tonight.
怖いよ。誰がいんの？どこに進んだらいいの？わからん。なんかあっちくせ。どけ、道を開けろ。進まないぞ。あー、無理。
Rick?
Barb, relax. I was just trying to scare you to help you find your scream.
Well, I'm not scared, Rick. I'm furious.
Then act furious. All I'm getting from you now is that you're hurt and confused and you...
She threw him out, but she kept a little something to remember him by.
Barb, have you seen my other crutch?
And she was still holding it when she fell asleep watching the late picture show. Hours later...
Barbara! Walter, what's going on up there? Ah! Okay, I'm coming up, but if this is a trick, you're dead, Walter.
いや階段ってどこですか？ここですか？怖い。どこにいんの？どこだよ。
Walter vanished, but his bedside radio was still on.
Orcas Island police describe the man as 6 feet tall, with a steel hook for a hand. Residents are urged to lock all doors and windows and notify the police of any suspicious activity.
Oh.
Barbara turned, saw the hook man, and was speechless. He was quite smashing.
お前 したらいい？
There's gotta be another way out of
どう
here.
する？こっち行こ
That night, she played her part beautifully.
う。役柄とかじゃないやろ。どこに？次の。こっちだ。こっちこっち。
She thought about abandoning Walter, but just
あ
couldn't
ー
do
無理。
it.
早く。何？どうしたらいいの？どうしたらいいの？どうしたらいいの？どうしたらいいの？ここ壊す。
謎解きゲームなんやな。
謎解きゲームだね。これ。
Molly's door hadn't been opened in years. The hinges grow. He wasn't moving, but she sensed the story might not be over yet.
Nero.
Bookman had vanished. She listened for his breathing, but all she heard was...
もう音が不安にさせるんですよ。この。
At the door, she heard whispering. It was coming from inside the house.
Oh dear.
The monsters had come to surprise her. For Barbara, it was a dream come true. Then she saw what kind of monsters were, and she realized what was about to happen. She was going to be famous. And with her final breath, Barbara Finch gave the performance of her life. I wasn't there myself, but I hear Barbara was magnificent. Poor girl. She had a taste for stardom. But unfortunately, so did her fans. Of course, the police blamed it all on poor Rick, who disappeared the same night. And little Walter? Hiding under his bed the whole time. He took it all pretty hard, but that's another story. As for Barbara, tucked inside the music box is all they ever found of her. Her ear.
Oh.
Now that's what I call a real eerie tale.
Edie told me all Barbara wanted was to be remembered, as absurd as that comic was. Maybe what Edie saw was a happy ending. I guess now I know why Mom didn't like me playing with the music box.
そうだね。オルゴール。まあそうか。上はまだかな。上もなん
Mom
か
must have locked the third floor stairs on the night we left.
うん。はい。
あれ？
違う。あれは私や。削除。 あー入ってるやん入ってましたね、これね。声入ってましたね。マイクが遠くて聞こえなかっただけですね。心臓が言ってんのよ。どうやってどっちで回すんだ、こっちで回すんか。おお、どっちに回していく？マイクワーザを切っちゃう。不思議。来たくねー。ててててててんがもう本当に心臓に悪すぎて。武器よこせよ、本当に。ああ。
Mom said the basement was off limits, unless I wanted another tetanus shot.
何の注射かがわからんのだが、とりあえず痛い注射なのね、多分。
I saw Edie sneak down to the basement once, carrying packages. I thought maybe she was hiding presents. It turned out she was hiding a lot more than that. I remember asking Mom once about where Walter had gone. She said after Barbara died, he got as far away as he could. If there's a pattern in all these stories, I think it's that none of us has gotten very far.
びっくりした。ウォルターかな。だね。遠ざかったっていうより地下に行ったって感じですね。
Goodbye, everyone. I can't believe I've been down here for 30 years.
Oh.
On that first day, after the shaking started, I didn't think I'd survive a week.
コントローラー、すごい。どうやるの？
But after a few days, I settled into a routine. That's what kept me sane. Having a schedule, living for today. I always expected to be dead tomorrow. But if you wait long enough, you get used to anything. Even a monster on the other side of a door starts to feel normal. Almost friendly. And then one day, everything just stopped. Whatever that thing was, it was gone. Maybe it got tired of waiting. Or maybe I just got tired of being afraid. It's been a week now, the longest in 30 years. I'm done waiting. I have to leave. Well, I still can. I know it's out there, somewhere. Whatever killed Barbara and Molly and Calvin. Maybe this is all a mistake. But I need to stop living the same day, even if it kills me. Whatever's out there, I want you to know I'm ready for it. I'm going to appreciate all of it, especially the food. I don't mind if I only have a year left, or a month, or a single week. I'd be happy with one new day. I can already imagine the sun on my face.
Wow!
Walter died when I was 6. I can't believe my mom never told me he was down here. I'm sure my mom was trying to protect me. Maybe she was afraid I'd end up like Walter. But if she never told me about an uncle under the house, I can only imagine what else she was hiding. I don't want to make the same mistakes she made. Trying to bury something that's still alive.
Great. Great.
Now that there's only one of us left, or maybe 2.
Great.
I thought it was time I heard the stories for myself. And found out what happened to everyone else. But now I'm worried the stories themselves might be the problem. Maybe we believed so much in a family curse, we made it real. I don't know if I should even be writing this. Maybe it'd be better if all this just died with me. But I thought you should know about your family. And the history you're a part of.
葉はバチャって言ってるところなんだけどな。バチャッとも言わないんだけど。
Though to be honest, I feel as lost as you probably do right now. I think the people in these stories believed them, for what that's worth.
Kura. ちょっとわかるさ。あー、ガンマが上がっただけだった。暗い。
And when you look at the house, that history of imagination and stubbornness and madness, any of it seems possible.
これあれじゃん。飛んでったこのじゃん。くるくる回ってんじゃん。心臓に悪すぎたやつ。
I think we've been surrounded by death for so long, we've just gotten used to it. What kind of family finishes building a cemetery before starting the house? It's embarrassing for me to admit this, but...
どうも姉です。本物です。お兄ちゃん。おっと、ちょっと配信画面に戻れなくなっちゃった。戻れないよ。やっほー。
The pet cemetery may be more uncomfortable than the human one. 3 of the gerbils were mine, and 2 had been my fault. Sven built the house, but it was Edie who designed the cemetery.
いいね。読めなかった。
I'm sure Odin's monument had been Edie's idea. My mom was always trying to move on, but for Edie, the past never went away. She could see it poking out of the water at low tide. Edie said she dreamed about the old house every night.
家か。
ジェイドが出張でおらんで、まあ、家の中でぐうたらしてる。
あは。出張か。これはどうしたらいいんだ。そしてお家に
Edie's side
戻れ
was
ばいい
always
か。
easier for me to understand. But the older I get, the more I can see where my mom was coming from. Her dad had been pretty strict, but it wasn't enough to save her brothers. She was just trying to do better.
これ、昔しやったやつ。もしかして。
わかんない。フィンチ系。
She lost 2 of her brothers, just like I did. I get why she tried so hard to protect us.
ソロだよ、これ。 それしかできないやつだね。なんか心臓にも悪い。
Part of me thinks this is what she wanted all along. For me to come back someday and find everything out for myself.
これ登れるわ。ポロなってそうなのに。
But looking back on it now.
フィンチ家の奇妙ななんたら。
そうそうそう。
とかいうやつ。
If she told me there was going to be so much climbing, I never would have come when I was 22 weeks pregnant.
わお、妊娠22週目の体でやることではないね、これね。危なすぎるね。これって上がれる系？上がれない系？あ、上がれる系。
I never met Grandpa Sam, but I think he and my mom had a lot in common. They were both pretty intense. Instead of hiding from death, Sam seemed to go out of his way to meet it. Sam spent his life shooting photos, but Mom said he got nervous being in front of the camera. I guess we're all afraid of something.
Dawn, I promise, you'll never forget this weekend.
Yes, sir.
These memories are going to last a lifetime.
Am I gonna have to shoot anything?
It's a hunting trip, Dawn. Shooting is strongly encouraged.
Ah,こうか。
Perfect.
It's gonna rain the whole weekend, isn't it?
どこにいらっしゃるだ？
I will never forget this weekend, Dad.
That's the spirit. Okay, got it.
I'm gonna take some pictures, okay?
Just be careful. The camera's older than you are.
どこ鳥さんじゃない。どこ釣ったらよろしいの？
You're right, Dad. It's starting to clear up.
見たわだ。
Still freezing, though.
Definitely should not have drunk all that coffee.
男さんトイレしとる。はい。
Nothing quite like being outside.
どこ？どこ取ったらええわけ？
A little more gas in the tank, I guess.
トイレしすぎちゃうか？おっと、そのまま後ろに抜けない。これ以上。
Aw.
何？ほいで？無限に写真撮っとるけど。
Hold still while I take a picture of you.
I definitely won't be moving. Hey!
That's a keeper.
I'm just saying, I'm not always gonna be here, Don. You'll need to remember this stuff. if you want to survive.
I'll be fine, Dad.
You know who else thought he was going to be fine?
Some guy who died.
Dawn, I'm being serious.
I know, Dad. You're always serious. Doesn't being out here make you want to chill out?
Well, to tell you the truth, I haven't been out here in 20 years.
Dad!
Good eyes, Dawn. Before you take the shot, let me get a picture of you.
Dad, I...
Just breathe. Let me get behind you.
Do I have to do this?
Dawn, you don't have to do anything. But if you want to survive, you need to be strong.
Ah!
Great shot, Dawn!
打つタイミングで写真撮るタイミング見せろ。
I'm proud of you, Dawn. Always remember that, okay?
操作します。どうやって上がるんですか？
Dad, it's twitching. I think
That's
it's
totally normal, Dawn. Just focus on the camera. Try not to think about...
Dad!
Oh my god. 生きてるやん。
Of all these stories, that's the one I wish most that my mom had told me.
生きてるやん。吹っ飛ばされてるやん。お月はいずこですか？画面が暗いよ。ここか。屋根裏って感じ。屋根裏っていうかもう本当に。
After Sam died, my mom and Edie got really close. They'd both lost a lot.
Wow, 子供がいてるよ。
Dear Kay, do you remember the way Gregory used to laugh when he thought he was alone? Like something funny was happening, but only he could see it. I think he saw things the rest of us don't.
なぜ動いておるだ？あ。あ、動く動く。
Over, Gregory. It's time to... Hold on, sweetie. Hello? Sam, I told you I don't want to talk right now.
I wonder what he saw.
よいしょ。
What his world was like.
よいしょ。なんかアヒルがいっぱい。
He reminded me so much of Calvin. Lost in his imagination. Whatever it was he saw.
割れた。よいしょ。
It sure made him happy. sounds.
それはまずいのではないかっていう。それまずいのではないか。
I'm worried about a baby being too happy. But I could feel him slipping away.
Sorry about that, Gregory.
I know you did everything you could. Maybe if I hadn't called that night.
Well,
hold on, I don't want Gregory to hear this.
ね。
I
よい
wish
し
you
ょ
could have told us about the world he saw.
これは子供にはよろしくないよ。
There's so much I don't understand about Gregory.
カエルになった。
About everything. But I know what happened wasn't your fault. I'm sure he's happy. He'd want you to be happy too. Good luck, Kay. Love, Sam.
下校ちゃう。1年しか1年だけやで。
I can't imagine my mom ever writing poetry, and yet...
A poem for Gus, who always said the wedding was a bad idea. Our father never hit us kids, at least not very hard, before the day my brother said with teenage disregard that he'd be dead before he'd see a wedding in our yard. My father made him come, of course, but Gus stood far apart, just flew his kite and bottled up the storm inside his heart. I tried to talk him out of it, but though he'd never met me, we don't need a stepmom, were the words that I
now pronounce you husband and wife. You may kiss bride.
When
the time for photos came, Dad ordered him to come here. But Gus declined, and as a sign held up his middle finger.
Oh my. そんな反抗的な。
The wind picked up, and panicked geese appeared and quickly went. But all the humans did that day was go inside the tent. The rain came down in buckets then, but no one seemed afraid that nature might destroy the tent our dad had crudely made. The thunder sounded much too close and full of angry power. But all my father said to this was, "Make the music louder."
お父さん。
I wish that I could truly say I thought about you on that day. Out there on the beach alone, just you, the wind, the sea, and foam. But I didn't. Until we found you.
She never talked about him, but Mom told me once if I was a boy, they were going to name me Gus.
ビビるわ。
My mom moved up to the loft after her brothers died. At the time, it was as far away as she could get. She spent a summer building houses in Calcutta, where she met my dad, Sanjay. Religion was another thing my mom never talked about, but I think it helped her a lot after her dad died. My mom moved to India a week after graduation and got a job teaching English. Louis was born a year later. When my dad died, I don't think Mom knew where else to go. I'm sure Edie was happy to have her back. And to see kids in the house again. The house had to get a little bigger, but Edie was used to that. And for a while, things were good. Almost normal. But it didn't last. The beginning of the end was Milton's 10th birthday, when Edie gave him a castle. After Milton disappeared, the only thing he left behind was a room full of paintings. I think Edie was happy to finally have another painter in the family. Milton Finch in The Magic Paintbrush. I was 4 when Milton disappeared. Mom spent months searching for my brother. Then she sealed the doors. Whatever Milton had found in the house, Mom didn't want it getting out. Mom definitely blamed Edie, but I think Louis blamed himself. After he graduated, he just spent more and more time in his room, until Mom got him a job at the cannery. Everyone always told me to stay out of Louis's room, except Louis. Louis's room smelled very, very familiar. That part of him lived on.
Dear Mrs. Finch, as Louis's psychiatrist, I can understand your desire for an explanation. As I see it, the trouble began in January, shortly after we convinced your son to seek treatment for substance abuse. Newly sober, I believe Louis first noticed the monotony of his daily life. He kept working at the cannery. But he withdrew part of himself. In our sessions, I saw the same behavior. His mind began to wander.
Oh.
I asked him to describe it.
Oh.
He said he started small, imagining a labyrinth. he'd feel his way about. Then something moved. Bats. And toads. And things that have not names. He knew it was all in his head. But he took it very seriously. I had hoped he'd find himself.
不思議すぎるし、しかも今魚扱ってんの右スティックなんだよ。こっちは左スティックなんだよ。同時進行で動かしてんの怖すぎる。
But he found something more. I worried about him then. Daydreaming at the cannery. I spoke with his boss. But he said Lewis had become a model employee. Methodical, tireless, focused. Like a whole new Lewis. So I let him go on. I even encouraged him. It seemed very promising at first. He told me he'd made a new friend. On the edge of a city he named Lewis Topia. He built the city up slowly, brick by brick. Then he made musicians. And songs for them to play. He talked about starting a band. And he was always humming something. Every day his imagination grew stronger. He no longer spoke at the cannery. But his chopping was as reliable as ever. Then one day it struck him that all the cheering crowds, even the stones under his feet, were all in his imagination. So he could do whatever he wished. He held an election for mayor. And he won. They begged him to stay, but his mind was already wandering. It became a game for him.
Oh.
He'd conquer a city, then immediately push on. New Louisville. St. Louis. He started drifting away from our reality. Minneapolis, until one day he forgot to go home from the cannery. Even as his mother pleaded with him, part of Lewis kept sailing on.
強制電話を連れて帰ってくれればよかったのに。
In Lewisburg, he heard rumors of a handsome queen. The queen was on her own quest for radiant rainbows.
Ow!
He followed the sound of her
harp.
Silver harp.
So れはもしかしてちゃんと通っていかないといけない。
His chase led him to a golden palace east of the sun and west of the moon. Even then, his logic remained sound. He knew the world was all in his imagination.
いやー、多すぎるぴ。あー、多すぎるぴ。あ、あ、あ、あ。
But he was so proud of having created it. In his own eyes, he'd become something greater than a king.
超早くね。爆速じゃね。
For someone who'd never known success in the real world, I think it was overwhelming. And then it struck him that the real Lewis was not the one chopping salmon, but the one climbing the steps of a golden palace. My imagination is as real as my body, he told me. It was hard to argue with him. We began to forget the world we know. I think it pained him to remember Lewis, the cannery worker. He began to despise the man with a royal contempt. I still thought I could save him. Even after he said he was being crowned king over all the lands of wonder. The palace would be packed with his companions. Including the wise Calico who'd insisted on advising him.
です、それ。
Bend down his head.
ごめん。
And the rest I think you know. Mrs. Finch, your son was a kind man who will be missed by all of us who knew him.
My brother was really cool. I wish you could have met him.
2人ほどまだ見てへん。
Lewis and I spent a lot of time playing games together, but he was surprisingly bad at them. He died a lot. On the way back from Lewis's funeral, my mom told me to start packing. She waited until the day before we left to tell Edie. I'm not sure if she wanted to make it easier or harder. I wish we'd stayed. But I understand why we left.
その踏みつける音すごい。パチパチパチって。
My mom ended up leaving everything behind. What happened that night had been coming for a long time. Maybe it should have come sooner. But it had to end one way or another. All that's left now is to tell you about that last night. That whole last day, Edie just watched us pack and didn't say a word. Until supper, when she raised her glass and said,
"To our final night together, and all our final nights apart."
Grandma, you know what I said about alcohol. Some of your medications are very
Edith,
specific.
I left a present for you in the hallway. Why don't you go open it? The grown-ups have to argue now.
I'm sorry, you're right. We're all leaving tomorrow. Let's just enjoy our last...
I'm not leaving.
Edith, you're excused.
The power had been shut off that morning, but Edie always had plenty of candles. When my mom sealed the library, I don't think she knew about the other entrance. Or that Edie had a key to it.
That thing you're afraid of isn't going to end when you leave the house. Edith has a right to know these stories.
My children are dead because of your stories! I think it's best if Edith and I leave tonight. We'll have the nursing home send a van for you in the morning.
okay?
Dear Edith, there's so many stories I wish I could tell you, but there's only time for one. This is about what happened on the night you were born. That night, the tide went way, way out. It was the first and last time I ever saw the old house aground. There'd been an earthquake out in the middle of the ocean. They called it the lowest tide in 1,000 years. God, it smelled awful. You know, I've seen that house every day of my life. But I never thought I'd go back to it. When the fog rolled in, I lost my way. I got turned around.
Okay. Okay.
For a while, I wandered. I started seeing things. Things I'd forgotten had ever existed. But when I saw them, they felt like old friends. That night, a lot of things came back to me. Or maybe I came back to them. Things I can't explain, but that I need you to try and...
Edith, what are you doing in here?
It's mine.
Edith!
Mom, you're gonna rip it! Let go! I kicked and screamed, but Mom dragged me to the car. I never saw Great-Grandma Edie again. The next morning, the band came to pick her up, but she was already gone. After that, we moved around a lot. We both tried to make the best of it. A few years went by. My mom didn't like to talk about it, but she started getting sick a lot.
Oh.
The rest happened pretty quickly. She got better for a while, and then she didn't. And then I was alone. The last Finch left alive. Until I found out about you. I'm still not sure what to tell you about all this. If we lived forever, maybe we'd have time to understand things. But as it is, I think the best we can do is try to open our eyes. And can appreciate how strange and brief all of this is. This journal was supposed to be for you. But now I hope you'll never see it. I just want to meet you and tell you all these stories myself. But I guess if you're reading this now, things didn't work out that way. This is where your story begins. I'm sorry I won't be there to see it. It's a lot to ask, but I don't want you to be sad that I'm gone. I want you to be amazed that any of us ever had a chance to be here at all. Good luck.
死ぬまでの追体験って感じかな。
なんていう通り、フィンチ家の
私は何も語らんで。なんせもう忘れてしまってるからだは。
だよね。一人一人がこういう人生を歩んで 死んでったよっていうやつ。とりあえずブランコの流れとバーバラの流れがすごく心臓に悪かった。
とりあえず酔っ払ってこのゲームやったからめっちゃ画面酔いしたことは覚えてる。
だってめっちゃ遅いよね。めっちゃゆっくりなんだけど、なんか一人称視点の時に大変なんだけど。
エペモがなくなって一人称に耐性がなくなってた。ちょっと酔ってました汗。
ですよね。気持ち悪い視点だなと思って。読めへん。とりあえずこれとこれは無理。オプションにね、ないもんね。感動。以上かな。全部見たでしょ。とりあえず心臓に悪かったから
一応クリア。
一応クリア。終わるか。やってなかったゲーム一つ消費できたし。わかろう。
タイタンホール2のキャンペーンの方が感動もんだと。
だよね。よし、終わります。お疲れさんでした。お疲れさんでした。トロフィー、最後のトロフィー、ありがとう、ヨハン。やめてほしいです、ちょっとその名前。いや、お疲れ様でした。